Hi friends, it's Becky, and I am really in the mood to make some more things with the James Beads Magical Mystery Bead Box for, let's see, it's February, but you know, we got it at the end of February, so it's most of the makings are happening in March for me. But I wanted to make myself a multi-strand necklace because I think this chain especially is going to be great as like a top strand, just kind of dangling above whatever your focal is. And although lots of folks have used these for earrings, I think these would be a great multi-point connector for multi-strand earrings. Multi-strand necklace. So I'm going to be using these, the chain. I pulled out some beads. I've got these two larger red beads that have like the marbling on it. I grabbed some of these leaf bead caps, these carnelian stones, and some of these sort of greener rondelles. And then I grabbed some of these fun drops, this tomato focal, and this big fat bead. I'm going to be using a couple of these bead caps. This is what they look like, but I'm going to be showing you how I make it bigger to fit over the top of this lampwork bead. So we'll do that when we're making this. And then I'm still kind of halfway deciding if I want to use the goldeny yellow Silversilk for this or the red. And I think I'm leaning towards this, honestly. I think it's going to look great like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this away for now. And I'm going to be using this for my finishing. It's going to be behind the neck. And I'm going to just make it long enough that I can put the whole necklace over my head without having to attach a clasp. So we're going to do that. And I've got some Silversilk findings for attaching those. I've got some 5mm jump rings that I'm going to be using in this design. And then I pulled out the little birdies and these like drops and these really cool bead caps that fit over the top of these drops so perfectly. And I'm going to be using those in an earring design. I haven't decided completely on the earring design, so I'm going to set that aside for later. And this is just a real quick lunchtime make for me. So let's get her started. Oh, and stringing material, because I am going to be stringing this. One of my favorite colors of soft flex wire that they don't make anymore is this red coral color. It is a gorgeous, warm, bright red color that is perfect for this. But again, another red color, if you don't have the coral, then what go with well with that is the garnet color. I think that would go well. But like it's discontinued. You can still get it in, where is it? It's over here. Yeah. I actually bought some trios because the trios still have some of me where you can get the red coral, because I was like, it's one of my favorite stringing wires. So I've got the stringing wire, I've got some 2x2 crimp tubes, and then the tools that I'm going to be using, because I'm going to be using the 2x2 crimp tubes, I am using a magical crimper for that. And I've got a wire cutter and a chain nose plier. And I might be doing some bending of some wire, but probably not. So when we get there, I'll figure out if that's what I'm doing. Oh, I might, yeah. So I might be either using this or, depending on what I'm doing, the thing that does the one-step looper. It might be one or the other. So when we get there, I will figure that out. But all right, so let me get the first part of this layer strung and connected, because that's going to determine how much of this chain I'm going to be putting between them. So I'm going to set this chain aside for now. I'm going to pull out my stringing wire and this, and I think what I want to do is remove the jump ring off of here, because it's got a little loop on it and I don't need the jump ring for anything. I'm just going to have this dangling from the bottom of this guy here. So let me pull this jump ring off. Swing that open, pull the jump ring off, set that aside. Ooh, and I am going to need to put some jump rings onto these guys so that they sit correctly on the necklace when I string them on. So let me, while I've got my pliers out, attach those. I kind of laid out what order I want the beads to go in, but I want these little dangles to be hanging out down there too. There. I don't know where I'm going with this. Okay, there we go. That's on that side because I picked it up and then I wanted to put it down. All right, I'm just trying to remember the order that I had them in. Yeah. I know a lot of times you get red and green and you think Christmas, right? But red and green are, why do I have 1, 2, 3? Oh, it's because the other guys are going to go in between there. Okay, that's why. But like these colors of like kind of the orangey red plus this like avocado green, that's a little less Christmassy. It's a little bit more 1970s color schemes, which, you know, I don't know if you're in that generation where you were around that a lot and kind of got tired of avocado and orange, but I actually quite like the way that this looks together. It makes me think of like tomatoes and basil and like, you know, the colors of Italy. A little bit. If we had a little bit of white in there, that would be fine. But I think this gold Silversilk is gonna really kind of help with that. You know, I was like, you know what, we've got enough sunlight, but I feel like maybe my shadows are a little too weird, so I'm just gonna turn on a little bit of extra light. There we go. Just so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better with that. All right, so you've got those on there. I'm going to show you how I expand this. Now it is pretty stiff, so I'm just using my fingers and getting underneath them and kind of pulling them out a little bit. The points are a little sharp, so if that is an issue for you, you might grab pliers and just carefully bend out away. Just spread that out a little bit. And it's kind of wider to spread it out a little too much because then you can bend it back around the bead. When you've got it spread out a little bit, I sometimes will put it down on like the hard surface and press down with my finger. Whoop. That can help pop that open. And then you can form it around the bead by placing it on top and then bending these guys around. You can bend it around after you get it on there too. Yeah, that's how you can shape one of these to fit onto an odd shaped or a larger size bead than you'd think it would fit on. And these are usually pretty good for that. There we go. Just kind of fixing some of the shape a little bit. All right, so let's get this strung, and I think I would like to go from the middle out for stringing. So this isn't going to be a really long part of it because it's just a little bit in the bottom. I think that that's going to be enough wire for this. Cut that off. And this is about 15 inches of wire. It's probably too much, but that's okay because I will keep my extra bits and use them for other things when I cut it off. But I'm going to find the center of this, place my little tomato charm right there in the center. Then I'm going to use both strands together to go through this bead cap all the way down. And then the lampwork glass bead. And then I'm going to put this other bead cap on the top of it. And with both strands. There we go. And that's my focal. And then I'm going to start stringing one side and come back to the other side after I've got these on here. I'm going to start with the green bead, put on one of these fancy drops. And as I'm stringing this, I'm going to be using these leaf bead caps just on one side of the carnelian beads, like that. So they end up looking like little tomatoes. This is going to be a super tomato-y stringing experience. And I want the top, the leaves to be on the other side of the carnelian from where my focal is. So when I string it up the other side, they'll be on that other side. So carnelian first and then bead cap. And I'm just going to check how this hangs, if that is too close. And I think it might be a little too close. So I'm going to just scooch these two off of there and get this dangle, put a little more space between the focal and that dangle by plopping that tomato-y guy on there. And we're going to have that. Then the green one and the carnelian tomatoes. This is a really fun bead mix, you guys. All right, and then we've got both of those, and then we've got some others. And so I wanted to do tomato, green bead, and then a larger tomato. So like this guy right there. And I just want to attach this to this central hole. You know how there's these little connector points? We've got one on that side as well as this one. This one's going to be attached to the Silversilk. This will be attached to my dangly chain, and this will be attached to my necklace. So I'm going to grab a crimp bead. If I can open up my my thingy that has crimp beads in it. Go. Grab a crimp bead. Put it onto the wire. Go through my connector. And then back through my crimp bead. go. All right, and is that facing the right way? Yes, it is. Okay. It's not like I can't take it off and put it back on because that is on there with the jump ring. All right. There we go. So that is good. And so I'm going to use my Magical Crimper. It has a little concavity on the inside. So I just place my 2x2 crimp tube right in the center of it, give it a little smush, and it makes the little ravioli, which is appropriate for us to have tomatoes and ravioli. And then you open it up and rotate it and just squeeze it from different angles. And when you do that, it rounds out those sharp edges that were created during the first crimp. And it makes it into a little crimp bead right there on the top of your work. So let me clip this. All right, and now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Oh man, Becky, when you have good ideas, you have good ideas. Very pleased with this. Again, so that the tomatoes are facing with the leaf away from the focal, I am on this side also putting on the carnelian and then the bead cap. Right, and then we had another one that was right next to that one, and the green one in between. Hold on, where's my other bead cap? Did I get all the bead caps out? Could swear I did. Did I lose it? Did it go flying off somewhere? Did I move it over here? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Wait. Oh, there's where my extra bead cap went. It was sitting on top of the green guy. All right, yeah, the green ones don't get the leaves, which I know you've got green tomatoes. Have you guys ever had fried green tomatoes? My grandma used to make them, and whenever I have them, I think about her. I wasn't into them when I was younger. I was like, ugh, it's so weird, green tomatoes, no. But they are so good. If you're not from the US, fried green tomatoes are a southern delicacy, like shrimp and grits. Take your tomatoes when they're green, piquant, and you slice them up, right? And then you kind of pat them so that they're a little bit drier. You get the little tomato juice off them. And you bread them with like a batter, not necessarily with breadcrumbs or anything like that. And you fry them up. And they're fried green tomatoes. And usually the batter will have some seasoning in it. So you might have a little bit of spices and things. Really good fried green tomatoes. That's why I like having that green in there with it. All right, so I've got my crimp bead, and again, I'm going to be crimping onto the center fan portion on this Barcelona guy. Feed that back through. should hang like this. I like it. I like it. It's a little bit, I'm just gonna loosen this up so it's about the same as the other side. And I'm going to do the same thing. I center my crimp bead in that concavity. And then after I do my initial squeeze, I rotate the pliers at a different angle and just go at it from different angles until all of those sharp edges are smushed down and it has formed a little bead, little round crimp bead. All right. So now this is the extra fun part, is I need to figure out how much of this chain I'm going to be using. I would like it to dangle down. I think that's going to be, let's just hold this end to that end. A little bit more. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to see how it'll dangle a little bit. I think I like that one. So that's the point that I will disconnect this chain. So it looks like the chain is oval links, like a curb chain, and then we've got 2 dangles on each link. So I'm going to sacrifice this link, and I'm going to keep these dangles because I can use them for other things. So we've got those guys there. And now I'm going to pull out a couple of my jump rings. I'm going to attach each side. Make sure I've got the right side facing. We've got this hole here and this hole here, and that's what I'm going to be attaching this chain to. So let's open up our jump ring. Attach one end of this chain. I think that is the farthest end. Right there. I love this chain. It is so gorgeous. I think I want to use the chain in the earrings. Yeah, I bet I could wrap it around the pipe chain. I'm gonna try that. No, not pipe chain, it's the leather chain. All right, oh, I need to open this first. I was like, why is this gonna be so hard? You gotta open your jump ring before you can attach things with it. Follow me for more easy beading tips. No, but in all seriousness, if you like what you see and you want to see more, hit the like button and hit subscribe, and you will see more of my fun tutorials in your feed. We will hang out and make jewelry together. Oof. 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 I like the way that dangles. Yes. Look at that. All right. Now, going to connect my Silversilk to that, and I want this to be able to go over my head. So let's see, I just measured that around my head. This'll make it go over my head. I'm gonna cut right here. It'll be about the right length for me, I think. I've got my extra over here that I can use for earrings. And because you can see it's got a few little kinks in it from being all curled up, I'm just going to make this a little more supple by pinching my Silversilk and kind of bending it around my thumb and drawing it through my fingers. It warms up the wire, and it also helps condition the leather that is in there to kind of relax a little bit more and get that curve that it was picked up while it was wrapped in its packaging out a little bit, so that it will lay nicely. You can just do this with your Silversilk. You don't have to grip it very hard. It's just a little bit of a pinch. And just run it through your fingers a few times. And you see like how much more supple that looks, and it doesn't have as many kinks as it did before. It's just a little trick you can use with this this leather cord, the leather chain. Just run it through your fingers to make it a little more supple. And it gives you a little more drape when you're doing that. Now, these are the Silversilk connectors. They're actually made by Silversilk. They've got their little stamp of approval. If you don't have these, you can use glue and cord ends because the leather cord fits just fine in those. I don't need glue for this because it has these little teeth, this little edge, this lip that grips onto the chain, this wire that's around the leather, and holds onto it. So I'm just going to shove this into this cord end. See, it's got like a jaw here. I'm going to crimp this closed using my pliers. I'm just going to give it a gentle crimp first. Actually, I've got a little bit of wire poking out on the side, so I'm going to flatten that up against there so I don't have to cut it off later. Oof, there we go. And it's looks like it's going to be poking out no matter what, so I'm just going to cut it off before I crimp this. There you go. So yeah, so it's got like the alligator jaw, bigger alligator comes along, gives it a crimp there. That's going to hold on to it so it doesn't slide out when I grab my nylon jaw pliers, and give it more of a crimp, more effort, more energy, more energy. There you go. So it is good and in there. You don't need glue with these, like at all. And let me crimp this one. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to try and get them so that the SS side is facing the same direction. And sometimes you've got to widen this a little bit before you put the wire in, and I haven't had to do that with this one yet. Alright, so now that that's in there, I can do the initial crimp carefully with these pliers. Then come in with my nylon jaw and do a more forceful crimp, because they are slippery little suckers and they will pop out on you if you don't do that first crimp. And there it is, it's ready to go. Now all I have to do is jump ring attachments, and that necklace is done. And you know what? I am running out of time. I've got to get back to work. So I am going to do a separate video for earrings when I sit down and do that. I've got a few other things that I need to do right now. So I'm just going to say we're done with the necklace just about. And I'll catch up with you guys afterwards. But let me get this finished so I can show you the finished project and we can admire our work. Because you guys know, it's important to stop and admire your work, right? I'm doing a fit check real quick. And I will show you how this hangs when I do my what I made this week catch up this weekend. And there we go. We have Silversilk chain, and all of this was made with the Jesse James beads, Magical Mystery Bead Box, and the Silversilk chain that came with it. I love this. It is super fun, super flashy, and it is delicious looking. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.